Hello everyone. So now today we are going to continue with the decision making statements in Python, which is the if statement. Okay. Now we are going to use how we are going to see how we can use logical operators in an if statement. So we have studied how many types of logical operators are there. There are actually three types of logical operators, which are or, and not. So or and operators are two types of logical operators which are used for combining two different conditions together. Okay, it will combine two different logical or it will combine two different relational expressions together to make one combined condition. Like for example, given over here, what is there in this program? Here, simple program. Here we have assigned y1 and 2 in x and y respectively, and then in if condition, what we have used? We have used the and operator for and logical operator for combining these two different conditions. So previously, what was there? X is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2 were two different logical relational expressions or two different conditions. Okay, both were having both were having the equality operator, which is double equal to, and now we are using the and operator for combining these two conditions. So what will the and operator do? All of you know and operator will return true only if both the conditions are true. Okay, what is the which is true in this case also. In this case, what is there? X, we have assigned x is equal to 1 here, so x equality operator will return 1. Equality operator will return true for the first condition here also, and then for the second condition, which is y equal to 2, here also it will return true. Why? Because we have previously assigned 2 in y also. Okay, so now in totality, what will this do? This and operator will return in the true in this case. Why? Because both the conditions are true here. Okay, so what will happen? This print statement is inside the if block. This we have showed by indenting it with four spaces. Okay, so what will happen now? This print statement will give you the output here, condition matching the criteria. Okay, now coming on to the not operator example. See, not operator is such as operator. I have discussed this before also. What it does, it doesn't combine two different conditions, but what it will do, it takes one condition or one relational expression as its operand, and what it will do, it will just reverse the truth value of that condition. Like for example, here what we are doing, we are passing that a is equal to 20 is a condition. We are passing that within the not not operator. So what it will do, it will reverse whatever truth value was there of this condition. It will reverse the value. Like for example, here we have previously assigned 100 in a, so this a equal to 20 will return false. Okay, but because we have supplied this with a not operator, so what will the not operator do in this case? It will reverse the truth value from false to true. So what will happen now? This if statement will return true because of the not operator, and so this print statement will also get executed, which is inside the if block. So what is the output in this case? It is x is not equal to 20. Okay, now we come on to if else statement. So if else statement is the second variant of the if else of the decision making statements. What it says, if else statement executes some code if the text expression is true, which means it is non-zero. Okay, and some other code if the text expression is false. So if the text expression is false, then what we will do in the, if we are using only if statement, then what it will do, it will be able to execute a set of statements if the if condition is true. But how to execute a set of statements if the if condition, we should execute only if the if condition is false. See, you can execute a set of statements in a sequential manner any time without any if or else. But if what how we will do that if you want to execute a set of statements only if a particular condition is false. Okay, so how will we do that? We can do that by using the else statement along with the if statement. Okay, like shown in this flowchart also, you can see what is there in this case. If the condition is true, then what will happen? The body of if is executed. But if the condition is false, then also we have a set of code which will execute only if the condition becomes false. If the condition is true, then this statement, this set of statements will never be executed. Okay, so now it is clear to all of you, I think. Now we move on to syntax. Syntax is also very clear here. Syntax is if then the condition is specified. Okay, it could be a single condition, it could also be a composite condition by using and or operators also. Then statements, the statement within the if block will be given after that. Then you have to use, see, one thing I have to make it clear here. See, this else block is separate from the if block. Okay, the else block will be separate. That is why this else statement is not nested. It is not indented like the if block statement. See, the if block statement before the statement are indented. They are indented by four spaces, showing that they are within the if statement, but the else block will be separate. Okay, that is why we have shown the else block at the level of the if condition, if statement only. Okay, but the statement which are following the else block, which are in the else block, they have to be shown as a separate block of else. That is why after else statement, what we will do, you just write else, then put a colon over there. Okay, and then we have to again give four spaces. Okay, why four spaces? Because it will show that these statements are now the part of the else block, and this will be executed only if the if condition is false. Okay, Now is this very simple example you have shown here. A is equal to 10, 10 is assigned here. Now we are checking if A is less than 100. Okay, then we have to print less than 100. Otherwise, what will you do? You have to print more than equal to 100. This will be printed inside the else block. See, this statement is required to be printed only if the condition is false. If the condition was true, then there was no requirement to print this statement. Okay, so that is why we have put it inside the else block. Okay, so now here again A is equal to 10. So this A less than 100 will be returned running true in this case. So this if block will be executed and the else block will be ignored. That is why the output of this program will be less than 100. Okay, there is simple program here. You can take it as a simple assignment to write a program in Python to check that entered number is even or odd. You can use very simple logic, just divide it by 2, take the remainder and check it whether it is equal to 0 or not. Okay, if the modulus operator will return 0 by after dividing by 2, if the remainder is 0, then what will happen is it means the number will be even, otherwise it will be odd. This simple program all of you can make. We have done many complex programs also last year. Just a revision of that. Now nested if else statement. The nested if else statement allows you to check for multiple test expressions and execute different codes for more than 2 conditions. So what will happen if there are 2 conditions? Okay, for that we will use the nested if else statement. So nested if else statement allow you to check for multiple test expressions, okay, and execute different codes for more than 2 conditions. So previously also we can use 2 different conditions within an if statement, like we have used the AND operator in the previous example. Here what we have done in that case, we had used 2 conditions by combining them using the AND operator. But what was the problem there? That we were executing the same set of if block, the same set of statements in if block if the condition was true. Okay, we were not executing your different sets of statements for different conditions. Okay, but what we will do if we have to execute different set of statements for the different conditions, then for that case we will use the nested if else statement. Okay, you can see in the flowchart also what is there. First of all, we'll check for the one test condition. If it is true, then what we'll check? We will check for the second test condition. Okay, again, if it is true, then what will happen? We can check for the subsequent test conditions. Okay, I hope all of you have understood this simple flowchart. Okay, so now we go on to the next slide. Now, syntax of the nested if else statement. So the nested if else statement is also abbreviated, or in the short form it is written as ELIF. ELIF stands for nested if else. Okay, else if, actually it is else if. So else if has been abbreviated. The short form is used in Python is ELIF. ELIF stands for else if. Okay, else if means what? In the else block we are not specifying the else without a if condition. We are specifying the else along with a if condition. So else without an if condition is just else. Else means what? Without if condition we are just executing a set of blocks unconditionally. If the first if becomes false, if the first if condition becomes false, then within the else block what happens? Some set of statements are executed. But if you want to specify some condition within the else block, then we use the ELIF or the else if. Okay, so else if is written in Python as ELIF. ELIF is the syntax for that. Okay, this is a nested if else statement. Now if condition, then statements, then ELIF. ELIF means what? Else if. This ELIF condition will be checked if the after the if condition. If condition is false, then what will happen? This else if condition will be checked. Okay, then after that what will happen? If the else if condition is also false, then again what will happen? This else block will be, the third block is the else block. This third else block will be executed only if the if block as well as the ELIF block is if condition as well as the ELIF condition is false. Okay, otherwise this else block will not be executed. Okay, this is how it is being executed here. First if condition will be checked. If it is false, then what will happen? ELIF will be checked. If it is true, then ELIF block will be executed. Otherwise, if it is false, then the else block will be executed unconditionally. Why? Because in the third block, in the third else, we haven't specified any if condition there. Okay, and there's no condition there. A simple example given here. Now here what we have done, we have used the input function to input a number. Then within the float, we have put the input function within the float function. So what it will do, it will convert the numerical value into float. So it will convert a string value into float. Okay, then we have check that number for the greater than using greater than operator. So if number is greater than equal to 0, we are checking that whether the number is greater than equal to 0 or not. Then what we are doing, we are again nesting this if statement inside the first if statement. See, there are 2 things actually. You can also nest one if statement inside another if statement also. In that case, what will be done? The second, in this case, the if number is equal to 0. Can you see the second condition here? See, the second if statement will be executed only, it will be checked only if the first condition is true. Like it will be checked only if num is greater than equal to 0. If this condition will return true, only then the control will go to the if this second if, because it is nested inside the if block. Okay, you know that the if block is executed only if the if condition is true. So in the case of this, if the first condition, which is num greater than equal to 0, if it is true, only then if num is equal to 0 will be executed. Okay, and then if it is true also, if again if it is also coming true, if it is 0, then it will print 0. Else what will do, it will print positive number. Okay, the else in this case is associated with the inner if. Okay, this is the inner if. This else is associated with it, which if it is the inner if. Okay, this else has nothing to do with the outer if. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. See, else are also always associated with the exactly previous if. Okay, the associativity is direct. Okay, you can't associate it indirectly to any other previous if. Okay, like for example here, this if num is equal to 0 is directly associated with the else which is provided after that. Okay, so again this else is what this, see, we can see this by the indentation level also. See, what is this, both these else's are a part of the if block. Okay, the first if block, the outer if block, you can say that. Okay, if num is greater than 0, then what will happen, both the if and the else will be are a part of that if block, the outer if block. Okay, and then what is there, you can see the second else here. This second else is associated with what, what if statement, it is the first if statement. Okay, because it is given at the this indentation level. Okay, so if num is greater than 0, if this is false, then what will happen, the control will come on to this else statement. Okay, so print negative number. So you have seen, see, there are two types of nesting which could be done in else if else statements. You can also as nest, means you can also nest another if statement inside an if statement, like we have done in this example, or you can also use the else if statement in the else part, that is by using the elif. Elif stands for else if. So in using both these ways, you can use different multiple conditions in your decision making statements. Okay, now here what output you will get, you will get the output. First you will enter the number 5 here, then it will print that it is a positive number. Okay, why, because you have entered 5, which is the positive number in this case. Okay, so now you can also write it yourself, write a Python program to find out the largest of 3 numbers. This also you can do it very well. Okay, just you have to combine, you can write this program in 2 ways. Either you can use the and or operators to combine 2 conditions for finding out the largest of 3 numbers. Okay, you can check them, you can make a composite condition for that also, and you can also make this program by nesting the if statements inside each other also. There are 2 ways of making this program. You can use either way to do that. Okay, you can consider this as an assignment to do that. Now we come on to iteration statements or loops. Okay, what are iteration statements? Iteration statements or loops are used to execute a block of statements as long as the condition is true. So what is there in the case of if, also conditions were there, but what is the difference? In the case of if, the set of statements which will be executed if the if condition was true were executed only once. Okay, it was executed for only one time. But in the case of loops, what is there, repetition is done for a number of times. Okay, these loops are used to execute a block of statements as long as the condition remains true. See, we are checking the condition a number of times. As long as the condition remains true, these set of statements will be repeated a number of times. Okay, depends how many times they are repeated, depends on the logic and the type of loop statement which we are using. Okay, now loop statements are used when we want to run same code again and again. So decision making statements were just used for making some decision. Okay, they were just used for making some decision whether to execute a set of statements or not. But what will you do if you want to repeat this set of statements? That could be done by only by using some looping statements. Okay, there are 3 types of looping statements given here: while loop, for loop, and the nested for loops. Okay, you can have a nested while loop also. There is no such thing that you can't have a nested while loop. Okay, now while loop, first of all, it is used to execute a block of statement as long as the given condition is true. Okay, and when the condition becomes false, the control will come out of the loop. So what actually it does, it executes a block of statement as long as the condition is true. Just condition is there, what is happening, we are every time we want, before entering the loop, we are checking some condition. As long as the condition becomes true, it will the loop will continue to execute. As soon as the condition becomes false, the control will come out of the loop. It means that the loop will end. Okay, the condition is checked every time at the beginning of the loop. Okay, every time what is there, the condition will check before starting the loop at the beginning of the loop. Well, the syntax is very simple. You write the while word, then keyword, and then write the condition by specifying it within parentheses, just like in the case of if. Okay, now just specify the colon here. See, colon is required here also, because why, we have to create a block of code. So wherever blocks of code have to be created, we have to specify colon specified by the indentation of 4 blank spaces. Okay, again, so here what happens, this statement which is written after this is part of the while block. Okay, then again what will happen, again we can see we can consider this example for understanding this. What will happen, these statements will be executed, this inside the while block they will be executed as long as the condition is true. For example, here x is equal to 1 here, and what we are checking this x variable inside the condition for less than equal to against 4. We are writing here x is less than equal to 4. It means that we are checking whether x is less than equal to 4 or not. So initially what is there, x is equal to 1, so the condition is true here. Okay, so it will print x. Why? Because this print x is given inside the while block, so it will print x, and again the second statement within the block is x is equal to x plus 1. So why we have given here this here? Why? See, because actually what is there in loop, see, every loop has to be initialized. See, how will you apply condition in a while loop? See, while loop will check for condition against some variable only. Okay, we have to initialize the value of the variable before starting the while loop. Okay, that value has to be initialized, and then that value after initialization is checked against some condition. Okay, and against some fixed value. Okay, in the condition. So what will happen, if you only initialize the value and don't update it every time, then what will happen, this will again become an infinite loop. Why? Because see, if you have omitted this x is equal to x plus 1 here, then what will happen, there will no change to the value of x in the loop. We have started with the value 1 for x, and what will happen, if you don't write x is equal to x plus 1, if you don't increase it every time here, then what will happen, each time the value will remain as 1 only. Okay, so every time when we check the loop, check the condition start of the loop, it will value to true only. Okay, so this will constitute an infinite loop. These are how infinite loops are created. Infinite loops are created when we make a mistake in the logic, or we do that intentionally, not to make the logic, not to make the condition false at any point of time. Okay, we make the logic as we make the program in such a way that every time we check the condition, it will remain as true. Okay, this is usually done by removing or omitting the updation statement. Okay, whatever value we are starting, if we continue with that value only, then it will become a infinite loop. Okay, but we don't want that. We want to print the values from 1 to 4. So what we will do here, we are incrementing the value of x by 1 here by writing it x is equal to x plus 1. So here what will happen, we are starting with the value 1 here, then again we are checking in the condition is true, so it will print x, and then what it will do, it will initialize, it will increase the value of x by 1 here. So now it will change from 1 to 2. Okay, so now again 2 will checked here, again it will be printed, so it will continue till the value of x reaches, it becomes greater than 4. Until it is 4, it is okay, it will return true. As soon as it becomes 5, again this condition becomes false, and the loop control will come out of the loop. So again this has been shown in the flowchart also. All of you can understand the flowchart very well. The same thing has been described in the example also. Okay, see the flowchart, what is there, text expression is there. If it is false, then the loop will be exited. If it is true, then what will happen, the body loop will execute. Okay, now we continue with the while loop. See, using while loop with else. So while loop can also be used with else. Okay, but the concept is actually different in this case. Okay, what is that example? See, this else will be used when what is there, when we have executed it without any break, or we have executed the while loop without any interruption, then what will happen, this else will be executed. But if there was any break in the loop, then in that case what is there, the while loop will the else part will not be executed. Okay, if you don't specify any break within the loop, then the else will not be executed. Else will be executed only when the loop is terminating, the loop is executing and terminating in a normal manner without any break in between. If there is any break, then the else will not be executed. Okay, this else is given so that it executes after the normal functioning, after the normal execution of the loop is over. Okay, now for example here we have initialized x with 1 here, while x is less than 3, then what it will print, it will print inside while loop value of x is whatever value it is, it will be printed. Okay, x is incremented every time. So while x is less than 3, less than 3 means what, that the loop can continue only to the values of x for 1 and 2. As soon as it becomes 3, the loop condition will become false and it will end. So here what is there, since the loop is executing in a normal manner 2 times, then what happened, this else part will also be executed here. Okay, inside else value of x is 5. Okay, so here what is there, here this else part has been executed. Why? Because here what is there, actually it should be 3 in this case. Why? Because we haven't incremented that. Okay, if we had incremented by 2, it would be 5. So this 5 is a mistake here. You can correct it to 3 here, because the last value of x after exiting the loop in this case is 3 only. Okay, you should print here inside else value of x is 3. Okay, so what is the concept of else here? This else is executed here only because there was no break in the loop. If there was any break here, then this else would not have been executed. Okay, now you understand the concept here. A simple programming exercise given for all of you. Write a program in Python to find out the factorial of a given number. This is also all of you can do using the while loop. Okay, this is a very simple concept. Okay, now infinite while loop. Infinite while loop, as I have told you before also, how it is being created by omitting the updation condition. See, every loop, the counter variable, see this x is there a counter variable. Counter variable means what? The loops, the variable which is used for counting the number of executions. Okay, see, we have to execute the loop for a fixed number of times only, but how will it decide how many times you have to execute? By using a variable. So that variable is in programming languages, it is termed as a counter variable. Okay, so we have to first initialize the variable, also we have to update it also if you want to end it after some time. But what happens if you don't want to end it for after some time? Then what we can do? In that case, we can omit the updation statement. Like here, what we have done, we have initialized this value to be to 5 here, but after checking the condition, after it is true, then in the block of code we haven't specified any updation statement. So what happens? This x value will remain as 5 throughout the execution, and what it will become? It will evaluate this condition, evaluate true every time the condition is checked. So it will never be possible that this condition of the while loop will be false. So again, it will constitute a infinite loop. Okay, this inside loop will be printed, this inside loop message will be printed infinite number of times until we close the Python program. Okay, why we have to close the Python program? Because we haven't specified any updation statement to update the value. Okay, the value when the value is not updated, then it will at no point of time it will reach the situation that the condition is not satisfied. Okay, so in this case, now all of you understand how we can use the while loop to create an infinite loop also. See, sometimes infinite loops are used for displaying the menu. Okay, sometimes infinite loops are used for displaying the menu every time to the user. Only when the user prompts for exit, when the user chooses exit value, only then it will be exited. Otherwise, it will continue displaying the options to the user. In some other cases also, these infinite loops are being used. Okay, now for loop. So this for loop is used to iterate over items of any sequence, such as a list or a string. See, we have seen the while loop. While loop was there. The structure of the while loop was different from the for loop. In the case of while loop, we had a condition, and that condition was checked every time at the beginning of the loop. If the condition was false, then the loop exited. If the condition was true, then the loop was continued to execute. Okay, but in the case of for loop, what is there? For loop is actually used to iterate over any sequence. So what are sequences? We have learned before that sequences are sequence of values. Like they could be lists, they could be string, they could be tuples also, it could be dictionaries also. So for loops are used for iterating through all of these sequences. Okay, such as a list or a string, for example. Okay, so what is syntax for that? See, for loop will not use any condition here. Okay, for loop will just iterate over the values. Iterate over the values means what? It will pick up the values one by one. It will first pick the value at index 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, up till the n minus 3, the sequence of n values. Then the last index will be n minus 1. So it will continue from the 0 index. It will pick up the values first index 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and so on up till the n minus 1th index. It will pick up the values. Okay, and when it will end when the sequence of values will be exhausted. And the sequence of values will end, then the for loop will also automatically end. So the syntax is for val in sequence. So here val is the variable which will iterate through the sequence. Iterate means what? It will hold the values of the sequence one by one, and then the statements will then we specify a colon after the statement, and then the statement in the body will be given with the space of 4 for indentation purpose. Okay, for showing that it is a block of code for the for loop. Okay, now for example, for I in range 3, 5, so we have studied about ranges. Okay, range means what? We are specifying a range. We use the range function for specifying a range of values. Okay, so here 3, 5 means what? We are using this range 3, 4, because range means what? The end value is never included in the range. Okay, we are always taking the value which is one less than the range. Okay, what it will do here? It will take the range values 3, 4. Okay, I will first, what is there in the for loop? It is just a print statement, print I. So we are just printing the value which is there in the range. So first it is 3 and the second one is 4. So 5 is out of range, so it will not be printed. After 4, the loop will end here. Okay, so in the we will continue with the with the for loop with the second and in the next video. Till then, thank you.